if you're at around 5, 10, 20K months and you want to hit your first 30K consistent months, your first move right now isn't adding another tactic. Right now, for where you're at, your first move is actually... Welcome to today's episode of Business Growth Lab. It's great to be back with you for another year. Happy New Year to everyone that's listening. And Leon, Happy New Year. Great to be back with you again.
Thank you. Yep, good to be back and ready to go.
It is a brand new year. It's a universal 1 year. It's the year of the fire horse. That doesn't actually come until February, but I believe that this is going to be a very fast year and a different year energetically to last year. And all I can say is thank God. Although, if you listen to last week's episode, you will know that me being an Aries and having my rising sign in Sagittarius, I am just all fire, fire, fire. So this year could be super hot for me.
And of course, I've made the mistake of looking up something to do with Aries, and now my Instagram feed is full of like funny Aries little gifts and things. So anyway,
very, very funny. Some of the reels you're getting delivered about having a wife that's very hard to deal with.
And of course, I sit on the lounge next to you and send them all to you as well. So
exactly, I was going to say we're pretty funny like that. We think we're funny.
Yeah, we think we're funny. That's all that matters.
Yeah. How was the break for you? How's the start of the new year been for you?
You know, I think it wasn't long enough, but for some reason this morning it just clicked into gear and went, let's go. So
it did, didn't it? It was like, it just...
Yep.
Yeah, it took off like it normally takes off.
A Monday thing? I don't know.
Yeah, totally. I agree. I decided, I didn't decide this at all. The universe decided. I was telling someone this story this morning. She's like, this is so cool. So last year, I had the thought that I would like to go back to dance, specifically ballet. I haven't been in a ballet studio for over 12 years. Actually, it's closer to 15 years, I think. And I just suddenly thought I would actually like to go back to ballet. So I'd been following a studio for probably about 6 months, and just before Christmas I saw a competition pop up that you could enter this competition and you could win all these products and win a week-long dance intensive. And I was like, oh, I'll just enter that. That sounds fun. And found out maybe 2 days before Christmas that I won it, which was all really, really exciting. Except if you haven't been in a dance studio for 15 years, to go and do your first day, and it was, how long was I there for? Was it 3.5, 4.5 hours?
Yeah, 3.5, almost 4 hours. Yep.
I'm sitting here knowing that I am going to be in a world of pain tomorrow. My poor hips are seizing up already. But I absolutely loved it. Yeah, I'm back, baby. Back in the ballet studio. So I'm really happy to start the year like that. As a generator, it's really important, and this is for any generator, actually it's for any human. Do things that are fun. Because when you're glowing from the inside out, people are attracted to that. I've got to share this very quickly and then I'll move on from the ballet stories. One of the girls that was in the class with us, she was just absolutely adorable, has only been dancing for 4 months. Like, she has 6 kids, and 4 months ago she decided to start ballet, and she's only ever done a bar class. So she's never ever done anything in the center. And we were doing center work, and we had this big grand allegro with waltzes and ton leves. Anyone that has no idea about ballet wouldn't have no idea what we're talking about. But the enchaînement finished with this big grand jeté, this big leap. And she did this leap and she's like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. But she's like, that's the first time I've ever done a leap in ballet. And do you know what was so cool? Everyone in the class was just like, oh yeah, go you. It was just like, oh my goodness. Everyone was clapping. We were all so excited for her. She looked like she was about to explode with pride. She was just like, oh my God, I've done my first leap. And you know what? That's what life's all about. I think you get to an age where it doesn't matter anymore and you're just like, yeah, I'm just doing this for me and I'm doing it because I enjoy it, and people are attracted to that.
Yeah, I think it's really nice to celebrate each other. That's pretty cool.
Yes, there was a big chat after that about how supportive the community was. So I look forward to seeing where that journey goes. That's if I can get out of bed tomorrow, which I may not be able to. Let's get into today's topic. We're going to talk about how to scale fast using the subtraction strategy, which is completely the opposite to the way most people think that you need to scale a business. And the reason I want to talk about this is because we were just chatting, January's a time when you start new things. It's a new start to the year. There's this fresh energy. It's like a pause and a reset. Like, what do I want my goals to be for the year? What do I want to do for the year? And what ends up happening is that super smart coaches, business owners sit down, they do their new numbers, their goals, and they accidentally sabotage their growth. And what I'm talking about is they think that they need to add more. They download 120 lead magnets, all the brand new shiny tactics that all of the marketers are telling us that we need to do. They try and self-diagnose where they're at, and they end up like layering all of this stuff. I need to do, this and X and Y and B and J and K and L, and they end up with this bigger to-do list. And it doesn't actually move the revenue in the way they think, because when you add all of this stuff, it doesn't add revenue, it actually decreases revenue, and it makes you more burnt out, and then get to February and people are like, oh my goodness, I'm burnt out already, I can't do this. So if you're at around 5, 10, 20k months and you want to hit your first 30k consistent months, your first move right now isn't adding another tactic. That happens later, but right now, for where you're at, your first move is actually subtracting. It's not actually adding. And this is really, really, really important.
Do you think this kicks in because of things like, it's Christmas, it's New Year's, and people have a few moments to actually stop because no one's working. So they sit around, they have a think, and they go, I don't want this year to be like last year. So what do I need to do to get this sorted out? And they go, right, well, I just have to go harder.
Absolutely.
And so they just add and add and add and add, and thinking that is what's going to get them over the line. But I'm sure this world is so full of cognitive overload as it is. You don't need to add more.
100%. So they're sitting thinking, okay, I want to hit these 30k months in the next quarter. I'll just grab these templates, these free lead magnets, these free templates. I'll just fix my funnel. I'll just do these 20 different things to try and get more leads. And while they're adding, they feel more productive. They're creating new funnels. They're creating new content plans, maybe a new offer, like really doing the right things. Like, I'm not sitting here shaming anyone, by the way, because anyone that wants to grow a business, like, hats off to you, because it is the hardest thing in the world, right? But subtracting actually creates profit. And it's about the very first layer, removing the constraint. And then number 2, focusing on the system. And that's the foundation of everything. So I'm going to say this again because it's really, really important. Number 1, you need to remove the constraint or the constraints. There's probably multiple. And number 2, you need to focus on the system. So what I'm talking about is, what are all the things that are holding you back? Being really clear about that, taking it away, and then creating the system that helps you move over to the other side of the constraint. Does that make sense?
100% makes sense. I'm just thinking from the point of view of when you start out and you're doing the 5K to 10K and you're kind of wearing all the hats, I think you automatically just assume that you have to do everything.
Yeah.
And then so you pile it on, but then you don't go back and consider like, well, what's the needle movers? What is the things that you actually have to have? Like, if you
totally
minimalist, what could you get away with is probably more the thought process.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you as well, and this is probably something that we're going to talk about this anyway, was why do you think that the self-diagnosing fails? Like, why do you think people don't realize that they're overloading the hell out of themselves?
The reason that self-diagnosing fails, and this isn't everyone thing is you can't read the label from inside the jar. Generally, if you've not built a business before, you don't actually know what the bottleneck is because you've not done it before, right? You can't see your own bottleneck, and often you don't even understand the bottlenecks there. So it's very difficult to diagnose something when you don't know that it's wrong. And this is why it's really important to always have, and you know me, Leon, like I'm an external processor. I have multiple people that I work with to say, hey, look, this is happening. This is what I'm experiencing. These are the bad things that's happening. And I get other people to either go, oh, I can clearly see what that is, or ask me questions. It's really difficult if you haven't been there before to know that it's a problem.
Yeah. Know what the symptoms are, but you can't see what's
That's
actually
the
causing
word
it.
I was looking for, the
We got there.
symptoms.
I'm really bad at having way too much technical movements in things because I like the processes and how things work.
Mm-hmm.
It's hilarious though when you come along afterwards and go, oh, why didn't you just do this? And you don't really need that. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay.
Totally. But that's the bias because that's the way that you've done things before. It's probably the way that you've learnt to do things from over 30 years in corporate.
hmm
And it's funny that I find that people in jobs are not good at this subtraction method because I
Yeah.
feel like they're almost trying to keep themselves in a job. Like they feel more important when it's harder.
Well, yeah, that's a great point. What I was going to say as well is that from another point of view is they get told how to do things, so they don't know how to look at themselves and go, do we need that? Because I know from my experience, I would get these things that will come from head office when this is the way you have to do it. And you're sitting there scratching your head going, but I can do it a better, faster way that's going to be way more efficient. But you have to follow the rules because you're a big corporation. So therefore, essentially, you stop thinking and become a robot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that anyone else that's come out of corporate is going to know that same thing, that the diagnosing yourself and being realistic and probably savage about it, you probably don't have it yet anyway. So
Yeah. You asked why does self-diagnosing fail? And I think one of the other things is that we know that we want to get to a solution down the track, but we don't necessarily know what that tactic or what that strategy is to get us there. And we see some sort of lead magnet that has a generic solution, and we think, oh, we need to do that and we need to implement that
yeah,
rather than what needs to be taken away. And is that generic solution really going to help us get somewhere?
yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah. Well, I know that's something that you're big on as well, is that it's not a one thing fits all kind of case. So everyone's a slightly bit different. So, I can see how that would actually like really be a constraint.
Totally. And I think that finally, that more tactics, when you're layering tactics on top of each other and you do it without a sequence, it creates chaos. Like
Yep.
absolute chaos. I know that we talked about this a little bit in episode 669, and we were talking about tacking together lots of different pieces of tech to save money. It's the same with strategy. The more you try and take these little tiny tactics together and try and create a strategy, the more likely it is to break. So you need to get really like pare it all back, get really simple. What is the fastest and the least friction path from where I am now to where I'm going? Because the more friction that's added, the more likely it is to break, the more likely it has got some sort of nuance that there'll be too many things that could go wrong and it won't work. It's going to cost you more. There'll be more, guaranteed it'll cost you more to get a lead. There's just so many reasons that we have to like strip it right back and get a very, very simple path from point A to point B.
Yeah. Yeah. I know I always talk about overloading your brain a lot because I feel like the way the world is right now with so much stuff going on, is a big thing. And the reason I say it's a big thing is because you can only work on so much at the one time and actually put effort into those things or whatever they may be at the one time before you spread yourself too thin. So if you add more tactics, more shiny objects, which is a typical entrepreneur thing, essentially you're spreading where you're concentrating on or thinking about or actually putting your brain power behind way too thin. So
Yeah.
that in itself is actually a big issue.
Totally, because you've only got so many hours in the day. The more you're spreading yourself, the more diluted everything you do becomes. So, we talked earlier about simplicity. It's like, what is that one program? What's your one mechanism for creating money? Who's that one ideal client? What's your one traffic source? What's your one conversion tool? I talk about this with my clients all the time, is that getting to that 30K months is actually quite boring because it's really focusing in on those one things and doing it over and over and over and refining it. And they're like, oh, but I like this shiny new little object over here. I like this shiny little tactic that everyone's talking about online over here. I like this shiny thing because that's exciting, right? But to scale to 30K months, it is getting down into the foundational dirty work and refining ad nauseum. And guess what? It's exciting on the other end because then what happens is you've got all of this time because you've systemized it. You've got a system that works and it just ticks along and does its own thing.
Absolutely. So by getting the one thing and working on that, essentially, I suppose you're fixing the leaky funnels and the leaky workload.
Yeah.
But then something else I know you say a lot as well is what's the next thing? Pick that
Yes.
one next thing to work on. So don't try and work on 10 things. That doesn't work.
No.
It just doesn't work.
No.
Sometimes more effort is not actually going to work. You can't outwork it. You
Totally.
outwork it or die trying. Don't do that.
Yeah. I wanted to go into that a little bit deeper because there's a very big difference between a strategy and a tactic. All right.
Yeah.
A strategy is, what is this path that's going to get me from point A to point B, right? And the tactics are what get implemented or installed along the way that will make that strategy work. And I find that so many people, they don't sort of understand the difference and they don't get clear on that strategy up front, which means that the tactics that they're pulling from could lead them anywhere. So number one, you need to really, diagnose what's the one constraint that's preventing me from getting to my goal right now. Then subtract all of the non-essential work that's preventing you from getting there so that you can fix the leak. Because we know that this is the strategy, then we're just mapping the next 3 moves in order rather than going, oh, I'll just, grab that and I'll just sticky tape this in here. So get really clear on your strategy, diagnose like what's the constraint that's stopping me currently from getting there, remove everything that's non-essential, which I can guarantee there's like 50 things you're probably doing in your business right now that you don't need to be doing, and just work on that one strategy and then map the moves in order and just do them, and don't just put your bright shiny light blinkers on.
We had this theory, little story here. Had this theory that with your car, we had paddock bashers when we were younger, in my younger days, and we used to remove everything that we didn't need on it. So essentially, what you do is you start cutting all the wires off and removing the things until the car stops running, and then you reattach that wire.
Oh my goodness.
But it's very similar. Like, will the business still run if you cut that wire? And if the answer is no, then you got the right point. But everything else, you need to remove it, because it's just excess energy is going to other places that doesn't actually do anything for you. So
Totally.
I really love that. So if you are thinking about self-diagnosing and looking at what you're doing, what is some way you can actually start doing this?
Yeah, look, let's go through some questions that you can ask yourself, have a think about, journal on, that'll give you start to give you an idea of what's going on in this picture. And I think the first one is, What is something that you're currently doing or have been doing over the last 6 months that you would be devastated to keep doing in 6 months' time? Like if someone said to you, you'll still be doing that in 6 months' time, what is that thing that you'd be like, oh my goodness, no, I don't want to be doing that in 6 months' time? Because I can guarantee if you don't get really clear on what it is that you don't want, it will continue because we're creatures of habit.
Yeah, and really, you only have so much finite energy, so I don't think you need to get wasting it.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's the first question. I think the second question, and this is to do with your lead generation, because lead generation is so, so important in business, right? Where do your leads most commonly fall through? Is it the DMs? Is it your calls, your conversion rate? Is it your follow up? Is it because you don't have clarity on your offer and people are going to go and think about it? Like when you don't make a sale, what's generally happening? Where do they commonly fall through? Because that's going to give you a really good idea of where your first constraint is. Now, let me be clear. You're going to have multiple constraints in your business, but it's about unblocking them in order so that you can create that flow on as it goes. So there's no point working on a constraint that's far, far down the line. There's no point noticing that you have a constraint of a low conversion rate on your sales calls if your one of the other biggest constraints is bringing leads in, because you need to fix the lead constraint before you fix the sales and conversion constraint. Does that make sense? So we need to be really clear, like what are those constraints, but then let's remove them in order.
Can I just say as well, we're talking about subtraction right now,
Mm-hmm.
but I will want to have some addition right now as well. If you're not keeping the data for where your leads go, that's going to make it awfully hard to tell where it's breaking as well. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so I know that was an addition, but you need to know what the data is.
Totally. So, off the back of what I've just talked about, one of the questions that you can ask yourself is what's the one thing you keep meaning to fix, but you avoid it? Because of the things that you are avoiding, you're tolerating. And if you're tolerating it, it will continue. So, what's that one thing that you keep meaning to fix, but you avoid?
Yeah, chances are that one thing, if you're avoiding it, but you're ready to fix it, that's probably going to be the one thing that's going to stop you from scaling.
Yeah, totally. So, what you need to think about is we were talking in order. Step one is leads. So if you need more leads, that's the first constraint. Or is it better conversions? Well, you need leads to be able to convert. So that would be further down the line. And maybe your constraint is capacity. Maybe you need better capacity. But again, if you need leads and sales, then capacity isn't the first thing that you fix either. So think about what is the simplest path to more revenue, the simplest path. And that's what we're talking about.
So the last one we want to bring up, questions you can ask, is what are you doing weekly that doesn't directly create lead sales or delivery excellence? So I really love this question, and I think it's something you need to be brutal with yourself about as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I know that you're a big fan of this one too, Sam.
I am a huge fan of this because I know when people get this piece right, their business flourishes. Because what they're doing is saying, I need more leads, I need more sales, I need to, have delivery excellence, but I'm going to spend 25 hours on Canva at midnight. I'm going to rewrite my homepage website copy for the fifth time this month. I'm going to, and do all of these things that actually don't move the needle. Oh my goodness, I'm really, really big on this. Get rid of them. Don't do them, because while you're tolerating all that stuff, you can't spend time on world-class lead generation, sales conversion, and delivery excellence. And actually, over the Christmas break, Leon, you're very aware that I watched the Taylor Swift Eras Tour documentary 3
Yep.
times.
Yep.
The reason I watched it 3 times is not just because I love Taylor's music, I do. But like, I really got nerdy about listening to the way they were speaking. It's like, we want this to be world class. We want to be doing something that no one's ever done before. This is how we did it. This person focused on making sure that there was a stage built with these tunnels to make sure that the quick changes could happen in time. You know, there was someone else that was in charge of just making sure that her bra cups in one of her costumes went in the right place. Everyone had their place to make all of this happen. It wasn't everyone doing everything. It was, we know that this one little bit, this one little seemingly small thing that is in our control is something that will come together to create world class. And that's what they did. But this is like the foundational level of that, if that makes sense, that Taylor only writes music and shares her vision. She doesn't design the costume. She doesn't make sure that the little train that goes under the stage is going to get her somewhere in time. She doesn't, you know, design the stage lighting to make sure that people everywhere in the stadium can see it. She just says, this is my vision, and now you all make it happen. And this is the same. It's getting into those foundations of, to make sure that we've got world class, we need to make sure that we can bring in leads, that we can convert cleanly, that we can deliver excellence. And as the business owner, as the CEO of our business, we need to get rid of the stuff that isn't meant for us. I don't know how to say this any more plainly, that the reason that if you're stuck in your business, the reason that is because you're doing too much of the stuff that you shouldn't be doing. And I'm going to keep saying that till I'm blue in the face.
Yeah. Now, I actually watched it one time with you as well, the Taylor Swift.
I did rope you into watching it once with me, because I was like, oh my God, you got to see this, you got to see this, you got to see this.
Absolutely. And what I noticed as well, and something I've never really thought about, because not that I think about putting on a stage show, but even the idea that Taylor Swift goes, this is my idea, this is what I want to happen, this is what I want to see. But then you've got like the guys and girls that do all the stage stuff, that actually build the stage, make it happen, put the lights in the right place, all that kind of stuff. But even like you think about the dancers and the choreography, did I say that right? She doesn't design that. She has someone that comes in as a specialist to do that, you know? So like while she has the vision, she doesn't do it all. I think that's important to note, because if you're not the CEO, like she's a CEO of Taylor Swift, of herself, I suppose. If you're not the CEO or able to work in that way, you're stopping yourself from growing. Yeah. Because you just can't do all things. It just doesn't happen.
No, it's impossible.
And we're talking about, you know, what are you doing weekly that doesn't directly create leads or create sales? If you're in that 5 to 10K bracket, you're probably the only person that's going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And the delivery. So if you have additional tactics that you're implementing for no good reason and stuff like that, you're just chewing up time and energy and brain power. I'll say again, brain power. Yeah, that you just don't have to, you don't have to waste. I mean, if you want to work 24 hours a day, you can do that, but you're going to burn out, you know, which is just crazy. So
yeah, totally. But again, you can't read the label from inside the jar. So it is really important that you have other people that can help you diagnose so that you can move faster. Almost like when you go to the doctor, you don't walk in and say, hey, I need a script for penicillin. And he says, sure, let me write that up for you, even though you've walked in there with a sore ankle.
A broken arm.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. Like you walk in and the doctor says, what's happening? And it's like, well, I've got this bone poking out of my arm here. And you go, okay, well, let's go get an x-ray of that, or let's get to the hospital. Like, you go to someone to help get diagnosed. And I want to quickly chat, or I really want to share that I had a scales session with someone just before Christmas. And this is someone that is very, very experienced in business, someone that's really all over her business. She's like, Sam, I want to run this past you because I just want to stress test it. I'm pretty sure I've got it all there, but I just want to stress test it. And she's chatting, chatting, chatting. And I reckon it was about 7.5 minutes in. I just went, hang on, stop. That's not right. Like, you're saying that is the constraint, but I can see that the constraint is actually over here and it's this. And she was just like, oh my God, how did I not see that? And she has sent me the most amazing email saying just understanding that lifted so much weight from her shoulders, because you were talking about that cognitive overload. She'd been going through that, trying to work through it where she thought what she was doing was right, where it actually wasn't. And by me going, hang on a minute, the diagnosis is this. And she's just like, oh. And then it was like she could go again. She had the energy to get going again. She wasn't carrying that heavy load. So really make sure that you've got people that you can run these ideas past, so that you're not adding, you're subtracting. And we do it too, don't we? We do it. We've got coaches for that we work with as well. And as we were making some changes in our business last year, I remember reaching out to my coach, hey, can we just have 20 minutes? I want to stress test this with you. And I was just like, bang, 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 bang. And same thing. She went, hang on a minute, Sam. Doing that is not going to get you to where you want to go. And as soon as she said it, I was like, of course. Why did I not think of that? But what I was going to do would have added weeks of work. And it was the same thing. It was like, you don't even need to do that. You've already got this other piece in place that will actually get you to where you want to go. So it's really, really important to have other people, looking in while you're in the mud, while you're in the weeds, that they can easily look in over the top and go, oh, no, that's totally not right. Just look over here.
Yeah. I mean, that people are smart. They'll get there. But do you want to get there in 3 years? Or do you want to get there in like 3 months, 3 weeks?
90 days. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Like, so having that person or people that can be, on the outside of the jar looking in and actually seeing what you're doing is I think it's just so important. It's such a crucial thing.
Absolutely. So it's January. If you've set your goals, stop collecting tactics, stop downloading the 100 lead magnets, stop trying to put every single strategy in place right now, and just get really clear what is the one constraint that would open up the next level for me, and what is the next step to get there, and only focus on that. That is it. Only focus on that. No Canva 25-hour sprints at midnight, all right? Just stop it.
It's always Canva's fault, isn't it?
It's
such a good program, but that's not how you use it, all right?
No. If you're in Scale with Soul, don't use Canva. Just send a design task to the genies and let them deal with it. If you're not in Scale with Soul, you should be, because then you can send your design task to the genies. And then you never need to open Canva again. Absolutely. Our genies grant wishes all day, every day. They are absolutely brilliant.
Yep.
But yeah, get really clear on your constraint. So if you've listened to this episode and you're like, I have got big goals this year, I really want to make sure that I get my strategies right so that I put all of my energy into the right places and get to those 30K months and above as quickly as possible. Or even if you want to stress test the strategy that you've come up with, just like I was saying before, we come up with things and other people can listen. If you'd like Leon and I to be that sounding board for you, we'd love to invite you to book a scale session with us where we'll help you to identify that number one bottleneck so that you can strip out the noise, get really clear, and get clear on the next 3 moves in order so that you can stop being busy and start scaling and do it as quickly and as sustainably as possible.
I just want to quickly say as well, what do you think the value of knowing that right next step is as well, Sam? I just keep thinking about that going, what if you can run lean and mean and just move fast, and know what to do next, move with confidence.
The longer you leave that, the more it's costing you. So think about that.
Yep.
The longer you leave it not understanding what that constraint is, the more it's costing you, compounding. because you could be making 10, 20, 30K in the next 30 days. And if you don't get clear on what that strategy is, then you're actually losing that month on month on month, that growth. So yeah, that's a big cost.
What could that be in 3 years' time? Yeah.
Whoa, then we're talking millions, right? Whoa,
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Yeah.
Then we're talking millions. So rather than lose millions of dollars, just book a scale session, guys. We'd love to help you. We really want to see you win this year in 2026.
So one thing as well is that we really want to see people build businesses that they love, that gives them that freedom, that lifestyle, that you live life their way. And I think, when they can do that and provide something awesome to their clients and so forth, I think it's just amazing. So we really want to be moving people through that phase and getting them moving. So lean and mean and get fast.
Absolutely. We hope you've had a great break. We hope you had a great rest. You're reset. You're ready for 2026. And we look forward to seeing you next week for another episode of Business Growth Lab.